Matthew Vaughn's latest film, Argylle, has hit the big screen, and of course it sparked a heated conversation on all social medias. I'm hearing negative things, I'm hearing positive things, and everything in between. And of course, these things don't hinder my excitement going into the theater to finally watch the film for myself. It actually made me excited to experience these, air quotes, mixed reviews for myself. And I love seeing films get such a heated conversation going back and forth because I don't know necessarily where I'm going to fall on the spectrum of love or hate for a certain film. And sometimes I'm pro and sometimes I'm negative. So of course I'm excited to share my thoughts and takes on Argylle, but you're going to have to stay tuned till a little bit later in the video to hear what I truly think about the film. I want to take a second and talk about Matthew Vaughn. I think this is a very interesting director that gets a lot of love, but also doesn't get talked about too much because he's kind of staying in his zone right now. And what I mean by that is he started off with this film called Layer Cake, which I recently watched for the first time a couple of days ago. It stars Daniel Craig, and it's kind of a crime film. It reminded me a lot of Snatch and a Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, like some Guy Ritchie films. That's what it really kind of reminded me of, honestly. And then he goes in and does some of these bigger adventure films and some superheroes stuff with Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class, and then of course he gives us Kingsman, a very stylistic take film as well, and that's where I think he's really known for. I think he gets a lot of love for X-Men First Class as well. But seeing Kingsman, and I realized that going into Argylle, I do miss the character of Eggsy. I want to go back and watch those Kingsman films because a lot of what I'm seeing from the trailer for Argylle, we see a lot of that in Kingsman. I think his style kind of blends well to these over-the-top, really stylized, and you'll probably hear me say a lot of that going forward. Maybe, keep count for me down in the comments section down below how many times I use the word stylized. That'd be a good idea. But anyway, he uses a lot of the same familiar elements in the process of his filming. So he knows how to capture action quite a bit. And of course, you're going to need that when you make these big action movies like Argylle. So let's start talking about it. When the plots of a reclusive author Ellie Conway's fictional espionage novels begins to mirror the covert actions of real-life spy organizations, quiet evenings at home become a thing of the past. Accompanied by her cat Alfie and Aiden, a cat-allergic spy, Ellie races across the world to stay one step ahead of the killers as the line between Conway's fictional world and her real one begins to blur. Having this author write her stories and actually the events of the stories are true is a very intriguing concept because we have the good guys and the bad guys going after the same person, same target to try to see what actually is going to come next in the story, to have her write the next chapter of the story to see what the next moves are. It's kind of a fascinating concept, especially when we're thinking about the espionage spy genre, with the added layer that it's a satirical twist on these genres as well. Granted, James Bond and Jason Bourne and countless other films that are in this genre are beloved and we really like them, but sometimes they do fall into some tropes, and having this film kind of tease and make fun of the tropes was kind of refreshing and kind of a fun experience to have. However, I don't think they go into it as fully as they should and make it an outrageous comedy at times. What we're really seeing outrageously is a lot of the over-the-top action here, and more importantly, the overall outrageous amount of twists that we do have. There is a twist happening almost every 20 minutes, it seems. There's this added thing, there's this added character, and sometimes these twists do become rather apparent, that you can see them kind of coming maybe from a mile away. Who knows? There's several of them that I was like, okay, this is what's going to happen, and it actually does. So it does become a little bit predictable in some of the things that do happen, but at other times it kind of, it's like, oh, that's kind of an interesting way that the film did go. I did like a lot of the action set pieces, and I have to contribute that to Matthew Vaughn's style of filmmaking. He does have a way of capturing these different outrageous things that these actors are doing, and a lot of that made me want to experience Kingsman again, going back and revisiting those films, because a lot of what we saw in this, you could tell that he learned some tricks while making the Kingsman movies. And it really, Argylle really made me want him to do a Kingsman 3. I'm not talking about the Kingsman. I wasn't a huge fan of that prequel film, but I wanted to see specifically Eggsy, played by Taron Egerton, back on the big screen in another Kingsman movie. Because I think that even though The Golden Circle was kind of a miss for me, I do enjoy the character, where I want to see where Matthew Vaughn would take that character in the third installment of his story. One thing I kind of enjoyed about Argylle is that we got to see an actress who is not known for a specific genre, which is the action genre, and that is Bryce Dallas Howard. She has been in some big action movies and some big franchise movies. I'm looking at you, Jurassic World, and I know she got teased, at least her character got teased quite a bit. Conversations were happening about why was she wearing high heels the entire movie, running from that giant Tyrannosaurus Rex in Jurassic World. I think some of that, those action vibes do get resolved in this film. She actually does have some moments where she does kick some butt in here, and even though it comes across kind of manic in the trailers, I think that if you're a fan of Bryce Dallas Howard and you would like to see her branch out to different things, I think there's some fun to be had with her character here. She does a really good job with some of the chemistry and back and forth between Sam Rockwell, and Sam Rockwell is my personal favorite part of the movie. I've always been a huge fan of his films. I think he's one of the more underrated actors who had never won an Oscar until he got his Oscar with 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. So seeing Sam Rockwell getting kind of more leading roles in Hollywood is awesome, because he definitely deserves it. He's a fantastic actor, and he's been so for many years. And seeing him be the main focus of the story and not necessarily Henry Cavill. I think Henry Cavill is an actor that we have seen quite a bit, and I really enjoy him as Superman. I think he was a really good Superman. I loved him as in Fallout as well. But seeing Henry Cavill be the kind of a joke in a way here, as he is used as a satirical kind of a joke, because it's not necessarily the best looking guys, the big models or whatever, or the big hunks that are these secret agents, because they get picked out of the crowd easily. It's these kind of weird looking guys like Sam Rockwell who play spies a little better, and it's a kind of a fun little poke at these other big established franchises like Jason Bourne's franchise and James Bond and these other films that are in the same genre. I thought that was a really good take. But I can't help but think that even though I had some fun with some of the action and some of the characters here, the movie is overly too long, and there's so many, and the length does hurt it, because what we're getting, instead of fleshed out characters and fleshed out action and a focused story, is we're getting twist onto twist and a twist. And I get that Matthew Vaughn's probably doing this because he's trying to make it satirical and trying to kind of make fun of the fact that this genre is known for having twists and twist endings and double crosses and what have you, and characters not being who they say they are. Eventually it just becomes kind of dull, and you do see stuff coming from a mile away. There were some times where this is what's going to happen, and it actually turned out to be kind of the case here. And there's other times where it may have fooled me, but I wasn't surprised that that's what happened. And coming out of the theater after thinking about it for a while, I can see two sides to this coin. I can see where people really loved the film and liked the action and got something really out of it and enjoyed it, and I applaud them for doing so. And I can also see this other side where people think it's really bad and has really bad writing, and I can definitely see that, because I felt the strain and kind of man, this is way too long. And I go to the movies sometimes with my wife, and she wanted to come see this with me, and of course one of the things she said when we walked out was that, man, that was really long. And it was sitting at 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is not the longest movie we've ever seen in theater, mind you, but it definitely felt like it was dragging. And it wasn't as quickly paced as I thought it was going to be. I thought there was some stuff that just went on way too long. And again, they padded the runtime and put all this different stuff in it that I feel like if they would have trimmed 15 minutes, made this a crisp 2 hours, I think it would have been a more enjoyable experience. And that's why I'm not really high in this movie. That's why I'm giving it about 2 out of 4 stars here. It's an interesting experience, but it's something that I probably would rewatch when it does hit Apple TV, which is going to be a fun thing to talk about, maybe doing a rewatch of the film, because it is an Apple Plus movie, and it's something that's going to be available to stream eventually. But I will say this, that I'm glad that Apple Plus is putting their signature movies out to theater, especially these big blockbuster ones, out in theaters on the big screen, so we can experience them where films deserve to be screened on the big screen, and not just necessarily at home or on our phones or our tablets or whatever the case may be, like kind of a Netflix way of doing things are. Netflix has been putting some stuff out recently, but not consistently. Well, that's my thoughts and takes on Argylle, and I can never see myself truly hating a Matthew Vaughn film, because I feel like there's enough that he puts into films that make them entertaining. Even though the overall product might not be a good movie, it's still a watchable movie, and I think Argylle is very watchable. It's something that you could kind of turn your brain off and you don't just put on the background and enjoy it for what it is. It's good background music. I wanted to like it more though, and I wanted to see our characters do a little bit more. And there is a post-credit sequence, so if you do stay around for that, it's just spark a good conversation to see what's coming next. Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that, and that's the biggest question there, is what's that referring to? I'm not going to talk about that. We'll maybe talk about it in the comments section. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for checking out my review here. My name is Adam of Almost Sideways. We would love for you guys to join the conversation in that comments section down below. If you guys liked this video, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe it. We would love for you guys to join the conversation. As always, thank you guys so much for talking movies with us. Until next time, we'll see you later.